It goes without saying that a secure and peaceful Afghanistan is not in just our country's best interest, but of course the world's. I know that will be difficult to achieve, but it also goes without saying that members of Congress are concerned about the lack of communication between the State Department and Congress relative to both our strategy and an update relative to the negotiations with the Taliban. I think since November of 18, this committee's staff has been asking for a briefing. I believe Chairman Engel and Ranking Member McCall have sent a letter as recently as February asking for that briefing, and all have been ignored. So my question is, can you confirm that within 2 weeks that Ambassador Khalilzad would appear for a briefing in front of this committee?
No, I'm not prepared to do that.
What is a reasonable time frame for him to appear in front of this?
You know, when you're engaged in complex negotiations, one needs to be really careful to make sure that the contents of those negotiations remain in a very small circle.
Okay. My understanding is the ambassador is now going back to the region. Will be there through April 10th. And I'll just ask one more time. Your encouragement would be appreciated on behalf of this entire committee to extend that invitation for a briefing. I think it's important, and you having been a former member of this body, I think you probably recognize that.
My colleague earlier was questioning you and asking about Special Envoy Khalilzad coming to speak to our committee, and you said that during ongoing negotiations, this would be something that would be very hard to do that hasn't been done in the past. We've had 2 special envoys come speak to our committee without leaks to the Washington Post.
That's actually not true.
Well, I've been in classified briefings from some of your special envoys.
Yeah.
We have a constitutional duty to make sure that we are overseeing what you're doing in the State Department. And so I don't accept the excuse that ongoing negotiations mean that we cannot have the information this committee deserves.
I'm trying to make sure you get the best information that you can that is consistent with your oversight duties. I'm determined to do that. I'm also determined to make sure we protect this information in a way that prevents us from undermining U.S.
I hope you understand that with a 17-year war heading into the 18th year, that the Congress deserves to have a role in how we're going to proceed here.
100%, I understand that.
Well, thank you. I think this committee deserves to we can have a classified briefing. We can do it in a way that I think is secure. I think if you were in our seat during the Obama administration era and we were having the discussions around the JCPOA, and that they refused to give you any information until the very end.
I actually was, and they did.
No, they did not. They gave you briefings. I know that that's...
meaningless and unimportant.
Meaningless briefings. Okay. Yeah. Well, I would like to have some kind of a briefing, because we haven't had that at all.
You want more than a meaningless briefing, and I wouldn't be doing it right if we gave you a meaningless briefing.
Well, this is an important issue, and I think this committee in particular deserves to have some information on it. And I want to also talk about the conditions for our withdrawal, because previous U.S. policy has required the Taliban to accept the current Afghan constitution, including its provisions and protections for women and minorities. Why have we dropped that condition?
You shouldn't be certain that we've dropped any conditions based on what you may have read in some newspaper.
Well, I haven't had a briefing, so I don't know what our conditions are.
You should know we are very, very focused on making sure that the gains that have been achieved aren't lost as part of this.
And that's what I think this committee's jurisdiction directly falls upon, and that's why we need to have a briefing and talk to the folks who are involved in that negotiation.
Just so you know, I'm running the negotiation. So you're talking to the guy who's in charge of it.
Well, yes, right. I'd like to have some more information, and maybe we should have you back to talk about that specifically then.
Happy to do it
in
the right setting. Yes, sir.
So are we also caving to the Taliban's stance that the Afghan government is an illegitimate puppet of the U.S.? Because that's what they've said previously. Our conditions previously have been that they should be part of the Afghan government. Is this funny, sir?
Yeah, the fact that you're relying on third-hand reporting for something that the Taliban might or might not have actually said in some print report, yeah, I think we should all have better information.
Is the Afghan government actively part of this negotiation that we're having?
We speak. Ambassador Bass talks to President Ghani multiple times every week, multiple times every day on some days.
So your testimony is that right now the Afghan government is part of our negotiations with the Taliban?
Right now the Afghan government is fully apprised.
Apprised?
Yes, exactly. And we are diligently trying to get these parties to work together.
And
the previous administration went at that for 8 years. I've had 10 months. We are diligently trying to achieve.
Well, my concern is that you're undercutting
Afghan conversations so that we can resolve this conflict.
Undercutting the Afghani government by not having them as part of the negotiations.
But that's just untrue.
In a direct role.
Just untrue.
Not to be apprised of it, sir.
They're just untrue.
In a direct role risks, when we do pull out, undercutting the legitimacy of that government, leading to the Taliban retaking power.
I disagree with the facts as you stated them.
Do you agree that Al-Qaeda and ISIS are still in Afghanistan right now?
Yes.
Okay, the gentleman's time has expired.